Shabbat Shalom. Bim bam, bim biddy bam, bim biddy bim biddy bam.
Shabbat Shalom. Boy, this is a big Friday evening for us. My name is Barry Nicholsberg. I have the honor of being the cantorial soloist here at Temple Beth David in Snellville, Georgia. Atlanta is a suburb of Snellville. And this year, Atlanta learned how to play baseball. It was very exciting. And for anyone tuning in this evening from Houston, losers. Not that there's any community pride here, but 1 million people showed up for the celebration parade today. As we get started, I would like to thank Bobby Horowitz on our guitar. He's also our ever-present vice president. Frank, I don't know where you are this evening, but wherever it is, we miss you. And we have Jim and Heather Murray singing with me. Jeannie Nicholsberg is back at the board, as is Denise Whitlock, who is our streaming specialist. Andrew St. Clair is not with us. He has some medical issues that prevent him from physically being with us, but I know he is with us in spirit, and we wish him a very speedy recovery and return to Temple Beth David. I'd like you to think about what I'm about to say. Where was I last Shabbat? Where was I physically and spiritually? Was I rushed, or did I savor the coming of Shabbat? What's happened in the past 6 days? They go so quickly, I can hardly take notice. What kind of person was I this week? Was I thoughtful? Was I superficial? Was I preoccupied? Was I appreciative? Did I laugh? Did I cry? Did I tell anyone how much I love him or her? Did I use my week well? And what does that even mean? What lessons will I take with me into the future? As I enter Shabbat, I release the past week, its joys and its sorrows. I free myself from any misgivings or guilt. I am ready to look for new happiness and bring the best of me to new experiences during the week to come. I would like to call up my wife, Jeannie Nicholsberg, who is going to light the candles. And until Jeannie Nicholsberg makes her way down here to light the candles, I am getting, she's telling me she can't come down. I guess there's an issue or something, but here she comes. Well, if you will turn to page 121, you will be able to read along with Jeannie as she lights the Shabbat candles. Please look on page 121 and follow with her, please.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all those who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled lights. So may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Normally, as we here are warming up, we decide which version of Lecha Dodi we're going to sing. We didn't do that tonight, so I have no idea what Bobby wants to do, but I'm going to turn it over to him. You start playing, we'll start singing. Whatever you play, we'll make it up. We can play anything
Which
you want to
version?
play.
Oh, I see.
You pick the version.
I got the version as my choice. Okay, let's try the other one since we've been playing.
Okay. La 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 la, likrat kala. La 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 la, pnei Shabbat, pnei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dimur echad. Hishmiyanu el hanucha Adonai echad Shemo echad L'shem tiferet ve'letila la 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 Lecha Dodi la 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 likrat kala la 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 pnei Shabbat nikavela Hitoreri Kiva orech Kumi Uri Shirabeli Kivod Adonai Alayich la 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 Lecha Dodi la 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 pnei Shabbat nikavela.
I invite you to rise physically or spiritually and help us greet the Shabbat bride as she enters the room.
Boi v'shalom ateret ala Gam v'simcha u'tzora toch emunei am sigula Boi chala la 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 Lecha Dodi la 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 likrat kala la 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 pnei Shabbat nikah pnei Shabbat nikah pnei Shabbat nikah.
Please be seated And as you do, I would invite you to turn to page 144 as Bobby leads us in the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabba.
Amen.
Na'amadi v'rach hirutei v'yamlik malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chay d'chol beit Yisrael ba'gala ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'al me'almaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha B'Rechu Leila Min Kol Berchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Damiran B'Alma V'Yimeru Amen.
Thank you, Bobby. Before we go on with the service, I would like to recognize that today is the 4th day of a 5-day festival for our friends and neighbors who practice Hinduism, Sikhism, and Jainism. Today is the 4th day of Diwali. It is the Festival of Lights. Sound familiar? The Festival of Lights. I have seen photographs of these festivals, and they are absolutely breathtaking. And I would encourage anyone to visit and participate. These celebrations are absolutely amazing. And while we're thinking about Diwali, let's also think about Rosh Chodesh, the first day of a new month. This is considered a minor holiday in Judaism, and yet we still do it every single month, every 29 or 30 days. For those of you who are not accustomed, today is the first day of Kislev, and we will go about our business, but I just wanted you to know, yes, there are special prayers, but if you're not speaking and literate in Hebrew, to say them in Hebrew may not be as meaningful. And so, let me simply say that Rosh Chodesh is a great holiday, and if you ever want to know when a month is starting, just check the stars, check the moon. It really, the calendar, some people say, oh, Yom Kippur is coming so early this year. No, it's not. It comes on the very same day in the Hebrew calendar. It's interesting because for our Christian friends and neighbors, they celebrate Easter on it kind of moves because it's tied to the Hebrew calendar, where Christmas is not. So, at any rate, I hope that you will have a joyous Rosh Chodesh, and I invite you please to rise, turn to page 146 for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 ya. Ya la 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 ya. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamivorach Baruch Adonai Hamivorach
va'ed ha'mevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please remain standing if you would. And would you please turn to page 148 at the bottom of the page, starting with Blessed are you. Please join me in reading. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges their stars in heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzavot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. On bottom of page 150, please join me. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152. Please join us for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. If you will turn to page 154, I invite you to join me as I chant the V'ahavta. This is the only section of this evening's service that comes completely, every syllable and every note comes completely from the Torah. You will notice the difference in cantillation from this and any other song, because the Torah has its own incantations. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibata bam b'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'leftecha v'derech u'b'shovtecha u'v'kumecha u'kshatam le'ot al yadecha V'hayu tafot ben einecha u'chtaltam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'hisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet. Would you please stay on page 154 and join me at the bottom of the page as we read in English the interpretation of what was just chanted, starting with, you shall love. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. If you would turn to page 162, we're going to move right along to Yismachu, and we do take requests, and David Baker has asked that we sing this, and so we do every other week. And David, wherever you may be, this one's for you.
Yismehu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat Yismehu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat
Mikadeshei Mikadeshei Shevi Shabbat Olam Yisbe'o V'yit'angu mituvech Shabbat
Yismehu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat Yismehu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat
Umashri Ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat Chemdat Yamim Oto karata Shabbat
Yismechu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat
Lema'aseh v'reishi Shabbat Zecher Lema'aseh v'reishi Shabbat
Yismechu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malachutecha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'koreh Oneg Shabbat.
If you would please turn to page 164. I invite you to rise physically and or spiritually as we begin the tefillah. page 164. Anananananana Adonai, Ananananana Savtai Titach, Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tahilatecha, Ananananana Adonai, Ananananana Savtai Titach, Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tahilatecha, Ananananana Adonai, Ananananana Savtai Titach, Ananananana Ufi Yagi Tahilatecha. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, U'megula Livnei B'nehem, L'ma'an Shemo B'yahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'yetzrat Sarah. Page 168. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, Mechaye hakal atarav le'oshiha, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol v'rachamim rabim, Someth noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asorim, Kayem emunato li shenei afar michamocha bar gevurot umido melach melech memit chayeh umatzmiya mitshua v'ne'emanat alecha yor ha'akol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye ha'akol. Page 170. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. I'm just looking for a particular note. I found it. Our worlds are busy and noisy. Traffic jams, horns blaring, cell phones ringing, text messages buzzing. Too often we hear without listening. Let's take a moment to embrace the gift that only the quiet in this sanctuary and in our own minds can deliver. I invite you to join me in praying silently. Please join us as we sing Etz Chaim Hi, the Tree of Life.
Eitz Chaim hi, L'machazikim bach, V'tomecheha, Be'usha, Deracheha, Dachenoam, V'chol netivoteha, Shalom. Ashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu kekedem. Eitz Chaim hi, L'machazikim bach, V'tomecheha, Me'usha, Deracheha, Dachenoam, V'chol netivoteha, Shalom. Ashivenu Adonai, Elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Every time we do that, it gets right to me. Thank you so much for that. Would you please turn to page 371? I'll read in the middle. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and for their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. If you have names that you would like to have remembered this evening, please type them into the chat room, and I believe Jeannie Nicholsburg, odd that we have the same last name. No, it's not. We'll read them off.
Sarah Gambrell, Peter Yarrow, Sandy Steinberger, Morris and Felice Friedman, Katie Walmer, Rabbi Bob Kersner, Bobby Ginsberg, Irv Zisselman, Katie Fink, Jerry Jacobson, Cameron Turner, J.J. Roche, Rosa Dupree, Shannon Pointer, Ellie Freed, Rabbi Ron Blooming, Bobby Crone, Pat Winters, Susan Ellers, Sarah Berlin, Susie Horowitz, Marcia Ringo, Ron Robinson, Kate Arvidsson, Carolina Horowitz, Barb Yarber, Bob Sinclair, Don Sinclair, Irene Namer, Sam Namer, David Silverman, Lanny Roan, all those affected by COVID-19, Haley Silverman, David Heller, Andrew St. Clair, David Kober, Trudy Hansen, Ethan Longest, Everett Marsh, Angel Burnett, Janelle and Bill Moore, Margarita McCarthy, Patty Beeman, Michael Stein, Mike Roth, Dennis Sadler, Lisa Ann Gadsden, Don Copsey, Ronnie Edgars, Victoria Mayer, Susan Irish, Marcia Diskin, Debbie Wooster, Tanya Hurst, Lisa Miller, Sandy Tejan, Michael Lowry, Arlen Conley, Jim Kinnett, Morris and Felice Friedman.
Barbara, do you have anyone you'd like to add to the list this evening? Thank you. Wendy? Good. Bobby?
Barbara, second Barbara? No? Susie Horowitz, Ann Owen, Edwin Speck, Andrew Wheeler.
Jim? Heather? I would like to add Wendy Fine, Kenny Woodruff, Andrew St. Clair, Shelley Perkle, Joanne Schoen, Nancy Galbraith, Robin Van Loo, the officer who is with us this evening, Kevin Mendez. We pray for him every single time he steps out of his house because he's there to protect us. Robin Van Loo, Heather Murray, Jimmy Murray, Linda Nelson, Margaret Pennington, Joanne Stein, Julia Hampton, Kevin Middleton, Brenda Gibson, Mickey D'Amato, Peter Yarrow, Anya Polara, Ben DeSalvo, Marilyn Thorpe, Megumi Allen, Marie Plakos, Esther Borg. And although it has already been mentioned, it can't be mentioned enough, the 46 million people around the globe who have suffered with COVID-19 and the countless numbers of others, their family members who have been severely affected. The good news for today, if there's any good news with COVID, is that there seems to be a pill that if you get the disease, you have an 89% chance of not going to the hospital, which is an extraordinary statistic. We hope that it will be available soon, but the fact that it has been created at all is a very reassuring thing for us to remember. Are we ready to sing Misha Berach?
We are.
Very good. Let's do it. Please join us.
Mikor habracha leimotenu.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishevera imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
It's beautiful. Thank you. This evening's Parsha, that part of the Torah which we read this week, is Toldat. And as I every week sort of struggled to figure out which part of this parsha to emphasize. Take the obvious, take the not so obvious, find the esoteric, and especially, how does this particular parsha relate to us today? This was written thousands of years ago. So how is it, in fact, that it stays current? Just so you know, I'm not going to go into detail because you may have already heard this, but this is where Esau, Jacob's first son, and then, Isaac's first son, and then Jacob are born. They're twins. And we always think of Jacob as the upstanding patriarch of Judaism. We think of him as being bigger than life. But in this particular parsha, he does something really terrible. His father, Isaac, knows that he is dying. And on his deathbed, he calls to Esau and says, "Come, I wish to give you the blessing for the firstborn." But Esau was hungry. Jacob decided, I can take advantage of this. And so he said to Esau, I will give you a bowl of soup if you will give me your first child rights, because I wish to be blessed by our father. And because Esau was so hungry, he said, okay. Doesn't seem logical, but that's what happened. As that was happening, God dimmed Isaac's vision. Now, some would say Isaac was blind. But it specifically says in the Torah that God reached down and blinded him so that he could not see what his sons, in the plural, were doing. Jacob goes and says, I am here, Father, saying that he's Esau. He had, Esau was this outdoor kind of guy. He was the hunter. He was the gatherer. And he was hardened. He had rough hands. He had a lot of hair on his body. Jacob was the opposite. He was the thinker. He was the reader. And so Jacob took animal skins and put them over his arms so that when his father felt the arms, he would say, ah, yes, that's Esau. And Isaac says, you feel like Esau, but your voice is that of Jacob. And yet, he gave him the blessing. I'm sure that you've heard the expression, turning a blind eye. This was the start of turning a blind eye. Poor Isaac. These are the grandchildren of Abraham. Abraham died at 175 years old so that he didn't have to see this. Esau was no choir boy by a long shot. He worshiped idols. He slept with married women. And he murdered people. This was not someone you would wish to associate. And yet, Jacob was hardly any better, lying to his father to receive. So my question is this: did Isaac really know? Did he sort of go along with this? Because if I lay dying and I say, well, you kind of feel like so-and-so, but I can hear your voice and it doesn't sound anything like that person's. It sounds like another. I think I would figure it out. He turned a blind eye, perhaps, so he did not have to accept the evilness of his sons, both of them. Isaac suffered most of his entire life with post-traumatic stress disorder. Do we ever talk about that? Think about it. Your father takes you up onto a mountain, binds you, raises a knife over you, ready to kill you, and at the last possible moment, an angel stops him. Isaac was watching all of this. He was very aware that his days were about to come to an end. He took that with him for the rest of his life. And he turned a blind eye to that.
Everlasting love.
There are 7 things that apparently cause blind spots. Now think about it. You have a child, a son, a daughter. We don't know when we're going to die. We don't know when the end of days will come. We cannot possibly fathom the depth and divine judgment. We can't predict when we will succeed. We really have no idea what's going on inside a woman's womb. And no one knows when evil will be topped. We all live with a blind eye. We see what we wish to see, whether that's our children or not. We currently live in very difficult times. There are people they call themselves Republicans, and people call themselves Democrats. And we've gotten to a point in our society, for reasons I still don't quite understand, where the two sides hate each other. You can bring home someone of another race you want to marry. You can bring home someone of the same gender you wish to marry, but don't bring someone of the other party. So we turn a blind eye. We love our children, and if they say, no, I'm not going to be vaccinated, we say, turn a blind eye. It's not okay, but I'm just not going to recognize it. I don't want to go to college, but you were raised, I'm not going to college. Okay? We turn a blind eye over and over again. I know people who have suffered from cancer who say, no, I'm perfectly healthy. They turn a blind eye on themselves, maybe as a way of survival. As human beings, our sight is inherently limited. There are things we will never fully see or know. Sometimes we say, oh, this is such a blessing, and it turns out to be a curse. That is so horrible, and it turns out to be a blessing. We can't ever know. If we're fortunate, our blindness can come as a blessing in disguise, enabling us to remain close to those we love in spite of our disagreements. and happily deepening our appreciation for life's mysteries. Something to think about. Shabbat Shalom. Okay. Would you please turn to page 586 and rise physically and or spiritually as we sing the Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol latet gedola liotze breshi shelo asanu kigoye haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpechot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem Vigor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anochnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shehu not hashamayim v'yoseh haaretz Moshe v'yakarov b'shamayim mima'al Ushinatu zo b'kohei meromim Hu Eloheinu Eloheinu Emet malkeinu efes ulato Kakatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashivota elevabecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mima'al v'yal haaretz mitachat eino. Page 588 in the center of the page. Would you please join me, starting with, For you spread out the heavens. For you spread out the heavens and established the earth. Your majestic abode is in the heavens above, and your mighty presence is in the loftiest heights. You are our God, and there is none else. In truth, you are our sovereign without compare, as is written in your Torah. Know then this day and take it to heart, that Adonai is surely God in the heavens above, and on the earth below. There is none else. Page 591. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lamelech kol haaretz Bayom haho, Yeh Adonai echad, O Shemo echad. Please be seated. Page 599. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. For them all we say, Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. If we are in the period of Shiva, the first 7 days since someone passed, please say so. Anyone online tap anything into the, okay? If we are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days, please say so. Names? I will add the names of Bruce Thomas Hoffman, and Jennifer Tidra Harrington. We are in a period, the first year or years. Richard Eggers, Joel Kellner, Daniel Jacob Horowitz, Emilia Gress, Marcia Manishin, Irma Schiller, Phyllis Blooming, Daniel Joseph Middleton, Larry Kramer, David Yarborough, Sylvia Cart, Rossi Davis, Laura Rusiak Rosen, Louis Jutzi, Michael Bernard, Annette Carter, Robert Diskin, Erwin Finkelman. There are those who we remember from this synagogue who died at this time in years past. Zelda Abbas, Raymond S. Bay, Helen Sadler, Louis Weller, Diana Weller, Lillian St. Clair, Joseph Zidell, Clarence Silverman. Are there any other names to add? I would ask you to rise physically and or spiritually to join all those who are in mourning as they remember, as we recite the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yit hadar v'yit halel v'yit halal shemei d'kudashah barichu le'ela mim kol brechata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da'miran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shamayim v'shayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imroma Uyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. Forgive me, I do not know what page Oseh Shalom is on. Do you, Bobby? All right, then. We're just going to sing it because you probably know it anyway. One more time. 647. Thank you, Denise, for everything. Page 647. Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom b'romav uyaseh Shalom aleinu v'yakol Israel v'yimeru amen. Oseh Shalom b'romav uyaseh Shalom aleinu v'yakol Israel v'yimeru amen. Oseh Shalom b'romav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Israel v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom v'broma hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Israel v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom v'broma hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Israel v'yimeru amen.
Last time.
Oseh shalom v'broma hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Israel v'yimeru amen.
Are there any announcements? Jeannie, have you got something?
Sisterhood Book Club will be meeting on November 14th. Sisterhood Walk in the Park will be on November 27th. We will be having a situational awareness presentation for the congregation and visitors on December 14th. We want to thank Officer Mendez for keeping us safe tonight. And we miss you, Judy.
Are there other? I would like to wish Christy, or as I know her, Chris Roth, on her birthday, which is tomorrow. And as I mentioned briefly last week, I will again. We are going to start a conversion class. You don't have to want to convert to Judaism. If you just want to learn more about it, that's fine. When I proposed this class to Judy several weeks ago, she asked how many people would it take to make it viable, that the conversation would be lively. I said, if we had 3, I'd be fine. I don't know how many people are going to sign up. Maybe 1 or 2 and we'd make it work, but 3 would be ideal, and anything more than that's just sort of gravy. We now have 9. We have people who are Jewish who just want to know more about what they may have missed growing up. And if you know someone, there's no charge for this. We're going to meet on Sunday evenings at 7 o'clock via Zoom. So you can be anywhere in the world as long as you tune in at that point. We certainly would welcome your participation. And with that, I would ask you please to rise physically and or spiritually to receive the priestly blessing. Yivarechecha.
If I may, while you guys are standing up, if I may, Barry. Denise, you did a great job. You've been training hard for weeks, and you've been sitting back there where nobody can see you. But you've done a great job tonight. Jeannie, thanks so much for the help. You also, for a very short period of time in training. That is not an easy production to put over the internet. Thank you very much. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. Hear, hear. Yivarechecha. Please rise.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May Adonai bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May Adonai always lift you up and guide you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May Adonai guide your every step and grant you peace.
V'yasem
lecha shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you next week. Good night.